This is like a whole new team. I mean, we didn't expect this. Defensively, they have some issues. They have not been as outstanding as they were in net at the beginning of the year. But that scoring is starting to rear its very beautiful head. And welcome into the Bruins Beat on CLNS Media. My name is Evan Marinofsky, and today I am joined by Conor Ryan. Conor, what is up?
Evan, I'm doing well. How you doing?
Doing great. Doing great. Great weekend for hockey in America. The U.S. wins World Juniors. Big, thrilling, not very close win over Sweden on Friday. Great game. I haven't had a chance to really talk about it, but I know you were watching. I was watching. Your boy Lane Hutson from BU didn't back down. He might be an enforcer for the Bruins. I mean, they might need that at some point.
I mean,
But
pretty good game for a few BC guys. Give them credit as well.
yes.
Ryan Leonard, great, blowing a kiss to the crowd, made everyone so upset. All those Canadians who'd be sending absolutely horrific stuff to Americans if they beat them in a gold medal game, but then they take the moral high ground as they tend to do. We're outraged by it. I don't know. Maybe win the fucking game, but
Or for the Canadians, get past, get into the medal round.
Yeah.
I this hits at a take that I've had for a while. I think Ryan Leonard's going to be such a good pro. I think Ryan Leonard is going to become sort of that ultimate villain type character. He plays on the edge. He scores with ease. To me, I think he's going to be such a good villain with the Capitals. And, again, obviously you got Wilson on that team and others, but when the time comes for him to join that team, whether it's next year or the year after, my hunch would be he stays at BC another year. So next year in college hockey, we will get Yzerman with BU. My guess would be Celebrini's gone. That's just my guess, but I don't know. He could stay. Maybe he stays. I hope. It'd be cool for us if he stuck around. And then on the BC side, if Smith, Leonard, Perreault stay, you'll have them. You'll have James Hagens. So it'll be a great rivalry as it continues.
Yes.
Will you be going to any of those BCBU games coming up?
I think I'm going to be over at the Bean Pod. I don't think I'm going to be at the two matchups in late January, but we'll see. Maybe we'll make a surprise appearance. We'll come smashing through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. We'll
With your BU jersey on.
Yes,
that'll be great. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think I'll be at the Bean Pod, but I haven't planned on late January those games. I always forget. They always come up, and then I'm like, oh, I should go get tickets, and then those are sold out. So you're not getting those.
Yeah.
But anyways, a good win for the U.S. No Bruins prospects in the game none that I can think of. Dan's Luckmelis in the tournament. He had a good tournament. Obviously, Patra was out early with Canada, so that was that. Bruins had a good weekend. Big 7-3 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night. The scoring is there, Connor. This is like a whole new team. I mean, we didn't expect this. Defensively, they have some issues. They have not been as outstanding as they were in net at the beginning of the year. But that scoring is starting to rear its very beautiful head.
Yes. No. It's
popping up out of the ground. Yeah. He was like, did you see the dude stuck in the vase on Twitter?
Yeah, I did see that one.
It's like popping out of the vase. Like that's the offense.
Yeah. I mean, what is it now? 4+ goals in I think 6 straight games. I think the esteemed Ty Anderson said they haven't had a stretch like that since I think it was like 2011, where 4+ goals over that amount of games. And
that was 2011. Right? That was the beginning of that 2011-12 season, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I think it was like everyone riding the momentum after the cup win. People were like, there's no such thing as a Stanley Cup hangover. Anyway, I digress. But no, it's really encouraging to see. I mean, you're seeing, of course, the key playmakers like Pastrnak deliver. Marchand's been playing well. I think you look at, we'll talk about Pastrnak in a little bit there, but scoring 30 seconds after that Kucherov goal, you feel like the momentum shifting. That's kind of what you've come to expect from a guy as elite as Pastrnak. But as I think we've talked about before, I think the biggest key as to why this team is rolling right now offensively is so many other guys maybe further down the lineup, but still key contributors for this team are pushing them over the top, right? You look at like Trent Frederick, who I think has 5 goals in his last 4 games. Jake
Yep.
DeBrusk gets that, the empty net goal, which I think was a byproduct of Victor Hedman's stick exploding, obliterating, like just the worst timing ever. But
as Jack
he does
Edwards
get
would say,
that.
an ode to the composite stick, and then he's like,
Yes.
so like that would be Victor Hedman on that play.
Yes. So, but still, even with that kind of fortunate bounce for DeBrusk, which again, he hasn't had a whole lot of those fortunate bounces, and now they're all kind of coming at the same time. So, he's got, I think, 8 points in his last 5 games. So I think you do have a situation where a lot of these key players are really pulling their weight offensively and supporting what we've come to expect. I think at this point we can say that guys like Jake DeBrusk or Frederick can give you 20 goals in a season. We know what David Pastrnak's going to do over the span of a season. But when you have these other players that are all chipping in, it just makes a really dangerous lineup from top to bottom. The only line that's really not scoring right now is the 4th line, which again, I feel like that's due at some point whenever they get the kind of right mix in there with that 3-man grouping.
Yeah, they're getting scoring. The top 9 right now is Morgan Geekie, another one. Like, you're getting guys throughout that top 9 that are kind of producing wherever. And I think the biggest embodiment of that is Trent Frederick. You mentioned it. 5 goals in his last 4 games, 5 goals and 3 assists in his last 7. Like, producing at center, producing at wing. They had him at wing on Saturday night. And I think he's just growing into his game. And we saw this last year, but we were like, he's playing with like Taylor Hall, and he's got some better line mates than him. What's he going to look like? He talked preseason about wanting to drive play and kind of be the guy on his own line. And what we're seeing now is no matter who he's with, he's producing. And I think, when push comes to shove and the playoffs come around, I think I would love to see the Coyle, Frederick and Van Riemsdyk line back together. Or you would love to see, Frederick maybe kind of on the wing with a guy like Patra because he's a bigger, more intimidating body, all that stuff. But I just think with what he's been able to produce and how he's sort of finding his way, more and more he looks like a legitimate piece to this team for a while because he's going to give you that physical element, but he's also going to register on the score sheet. You've seen that in these last bunch of games.
Yeah, and again, I think it gives full credit to both the Bruins for sticking with him for so long and Frederick for kind of carving out this role. And it's like, I've been someone who's, maybe skeptical as to what kind of player Frederick was, whether it's, he broke out last year. Was that a flash in the pan? Was it just an unrealistic shooting percentage? But you look at the way he's playing now, I think he's found that right balance of what he needs to do. I think that game on Saturday is like the perfect microcosm of maybe his potential and what he can be moving forward, where he gets that first goal, his first career power play point, like a goal scorer's goal right there, where you're like, wow,
yeah.
that was impressive there. He had one, I think a few days ago, was it against Columbus, where he kind of dragged the puck, hesitated for a second, and had a really nice finish there. Like, he's scoring, goal scorer's goals. It's not like it's just rebounds or tips or anything like that. He's really, I think, feeling confident in the offensive zone. But the other play that stands out, though, he didn't get an assist on it, but I think it was McAvoy's goal where he absolutely, runs over, what's his face, the defenseman for Tampa Bay in the neutral zone, blows him up, and goes right to the net and creates enough traffic that lets McAvoy's shot, from the blue line go through. Like, that's the exact, example of what you're looking for, maybe a power forward in today's NHL, right? Like, there's very few guys that are still like that, like maybe Tom Wilson, a couple of guys, but it's almost like Frederick, is now knowing what he needs to be. And I'd rather you be just a big bodied kind of guy that can be physical, but also has a goal scorer's touch than a guy trying to either replicate, a style play that's maybe not conducive to today's game. Like, I'd rather him be like Nick Paul of like 6'3", active, engaged, can give you 15 to 20 goals than being something he's not. And I think it's kind of a weird kind of play to put in one little criteria, like as to what a guy like a Nick Paul or a Frederick can be. But I'll tell you what, those guys, when they're playing at a high level, can be really damn impactful players wherever they are in the lineup.
Yeah, it sounds simplistic to say, but you almost need him to be a hybrid of physical and goals and production wise, because that's when he's at his best, right? When we've seen him in the past, when he's just looking for fights, he's ineffective because the rest of his 5-on-5 play suffers when it's, when he's not being physical and he is looking to score and this and that, he's a little bit more ineffective. So like if he's just both, if he can be physical and make smart hockey plays like the one you just mentioned and occasionally chip in on the score sheet, to me, again, I think there's so much potential there because that's what you need. You need a guy like that can do that every night. And he hasn't proved yet that he can do it every night. I think that's sort of the last or one of the last big things he needs to prove. But it is there. Like there is that potential. There is that, I don't want to say ceiling, but he has that in him. And I think it can be frustrating. I think fans get very frustrated with him at times when that's not there because it is. And I think I've said this a lot this year about different guys. Carlo, Lindholm, the goaltending. Like if the Bruins are to go far in the playoffs, it's they're going to need this. I mean, they're going to need everybody gunning, but they're really going to need Trent Frederic to be what he was on Saturday night. Which again, if it doesn't happen every night, that's fine. But you would ideally like that to be the case. Before we get into David Pastrnak, because we have not talked nearly enough about David Pastrnak this year. A quick word from our friends over at FanDuel.
The NFL season is wrapping up, but there is still time to get on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays, find bets in the new Explore tab, make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
So Connor, with the All-Star game, guys getting picked early and it being, January, it's mid-season. So it's a good time to evaluate. And I think with David Pastrnak, we sort of expected him to produce. When we talk about the offense, we always say, aside from David Pastrnak and Brad Marchand, and we kind of dive into everybody else, we never really focus much on Pastrnak. But David Pastrnak is 4th in the NHL in points with 55. He has been consistent. He has done it without Patrice Bergeron or David Krejci in the middle. He has done it with Zach on the wing, at center. He's contributed on the power play quite a bit. And there's a lot of valid Hart Trophy candidates this year. Panarin and McKinnon, obviously McDavid. Makar's on pace for like 90 points.
Yeah. Kucherov
is, I think, #1 in the NHL in points.
It's fucking terrifying. That Tampa team is so top-heavy, and they were fucking terrifying every time that line was out him in point.
Incredible line. And he is as lethal a scorer, I think, as there is in the NHL. Just like a viper, just comes out of nowhere and can just snipe one.
Like the Kool-Aid man.
But the Kool-Aid man, yes, busting through the wall. But Pastrnak is right there with all of them. And I think he has consistently strengthened his Hart Trophy candidacy because, the Bruins are not the same offensive team as they were last year. I know they're in first. And nationally, with other voters, that might hurt them who don't follow the Bruins as much and just think, the Bruins are continuing on with what they were doing before. But he's been like the main guy up front now for months on a first-place team and 4th in the NHL in points. I feel like he is there. I'm not going to put him over McKinnon or Kucherov quite yet, but he's right there, right?
Yeah, no, he's absolutely, I think, in the mix, right? And again, you can have the detractors to say that maybe his, defensive game needs work, whatever. Like, he's so good offensively and he's so important, especially to this team, that I think he absolutely warrants consideration for just how important he is to this current team. And I think you look at it, right? Like, there were people who thought that like his game is going to take a little bit of a step back when he just doesn't have the amount of proven playmakers, right? Like, you've had Bergeron for years, you've had David Krejci, you had all these guys that were fantastic playmakers around him, and not to reduce his role, but like he was viewed as kind of just the trigger man right on a lot of those lines. And again, damn good at it, but how much can he kind of completely drive a line by himself? And I think, you've seen it, and it's a testament to how good he is that a guy with as good as his releases, he's still on pace for the most points in his career. And I think he's on pace for he's going to smash his career high in terms of assists per game. Like, he kind of reads whatever the defense is giving him, and whether it's, finding seams on the power play, driving play, having guys like, Morgan Geekie right now is up to 7 goals and 15 points in his last 20 games. We've been high in the Geek squad, but to have him all of a sudden be on pace for like a 40, 50 point season, I think a lot of it has to do with the guys you have around you as well. And when you have a guy like David Pastrnak sending you some of those saucer feeds and setting you up, makes things a whole lot easier for you. So I think when you look at both, just how good Pastrnak has been individually this year, of showing that he can kind of just control a game and shift the momentum of a game by himself, and just the way this team is structured, where you just desperately needed a cheat code essentially in the offensive zone, and David Pastrnak's been there. And again, it's great seeing all these other players step up and really start contributing now, but where would this team be, especially earlier on this year when you had so many guys trying to find their footing, and the one thing you could rely on was David Pastrnak lighting the lamp early and often for this team. You can't understate it.
I was going to say, if David Pastrnak went down, this team would be mightily screwed, especially early on. Now, I guess you have other guys contributing, but even still, it would be a crazy blow. And again, the other thing is, and you hit it, the playmaking, the chance creation. Again, if he had 24 goals and like 9 assists, I'd be like, well, he's scoring a lot still, but he's not, producing, well-rounded or anything like that. He's got 31 assists, as you said. Like, he's going to smash his career high in assists, and he's helped his line mates. And I just think, again, when you look at all that, and it's tough because as valuable as he is to the Bruins, like McKinnon's valuable as hell to Colorado, and Kucherov to Tampa, and Makar to Colorado as well. And like, you have all these guys, Panarin with New York, like you have all these pieces. So it's not just the Bruins, right? Like, obviously, I think Pastrnak might be the MVP of the Bruins right now. But at the same time, it's hard to say, he's definitely the Hart Trophy candidate favorite for the entire league. But again, he's been outstanding. And I'm curious to see how this continues, because if they move Zacha back to the middle, if they put Zacha back at the right wing with Patra, or Geekie back on the right wing with Patra. I've loved Geekie. The Geek Squad, man, it's a real thing. Like
yes.
I've said you were right on that. And he's just productive. Like, he's not fast. It's like it's not showy, it's not flashy. He just kind of gets the job done. Like,
I think I saw one tweet. I think I saw one tweet where it was like, why is it that every single Geeky goal is like the exact same thing? It's like just a standard shot. Like, it's a good shot, like always beats the goalie clean, but it's like the same play every single time. Like, that's Geek Squad, man. Just gets work done. Just shows up. You leave him alone, and he's gonna get the job done.
Yeah,
it's like Verizon Fios.
Exactly. That's Verizon Fios. He'll fix your laptop for you, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yes.
Like, he'll just do his thing. Like, he's like if you're a boss and you have an employee that you don't have to tell to do, he just does it. And that's Geeky. He just does what he's got to do. So the Geek Squad's been great. Coyle's been great. Like, again, we've touched on it before, but the center depth on this team, you could say what you want about, they don't have a elite, true number one center. They don't really need it as of right now. Like, Coyle's been outstanding. Zacha's been fine on the wing, and he's been fine down the middle. Geeky and Patra and Frederick stepped in. Yeah. Like, they have been fine there, and I think they're starting to kind of they're getting fortunate because they've won a bunch of their past bunch of games, and it's working out. So maybe it's because they've been eating their HelloFresh, Connor. That was the key to the scoring. They started eating HelloFresh, and they said, you know what? We just can't stop scoring goals. So, quick word from our friends over at HelloFresh. Quick break in the action to tell you about our delicious friends over at HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut, but keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week. There's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. Turn to HelloFresh Market for yummy add-ons and enjoy the season's limited time fall flavors lineup. It's that time of year, right? Things get you in the mood, like apple cider cake with caramel sauce. All the ingredients come fresh, From the crushed tomatoes to the Italian chicken sausage mix to the Parmesan cheese, it's delicious, and I feel like a chef when I'm doing it. What's better than that? And this is a busy time of year for me with hockey starting up. I don't always have a ton of time, so this recipe makes it quick to enjoy something amazing. So join in on the fun. Go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/50Bruins and use code 50Bruins for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Now, back to the show. A lot of big games coming up. Bruins are going to go out west, but not like the cool California trip. They're going to like the Southwest. You've got Colorado, which is tonight, Monday. Again, we're recording that. Well, this will go out on Tuesday, so it was last night. What a game that was, Connor. Oh my God.
It was unreal.
The stars were out.
In the comments, yes.
The stars were out. So there was that. Arizona, and then Vegas and St. Louis. Maybe the Bruins will be able to take Torrey Krug home. Like, oh, yes. You can. We'll let you come with us. But that's a big stretch. I know
like the St. Louis is like, you know, that meme where it's all like the Army Rangers lined up against the wall, and it's the one clown is like in the line. That's St. Louis in that group.
It is, and that's and we would think
this is a St. Louis hating podcast, but I don't think people 100%. Will object.
No, I think our comment section will be more than happy to shit on the Blues. But we would think preseason it would have been Arizona that would have been the clown in that grouping. By the way, that meme never gets old.
Yeah,
that meme never.
Like,
that's
there's
true.
No playing in a college rink, but
this is true. I mean, I've never been to Mullet, but I saw like someone took a video from the stands, and it looks like you're sitting at Warrior. Like in the way the stands are, it's the same rows and everything. I mean, it's funny. So a while back, my girlfriend and I were thinking of going out to Arizona this time of year just to go somewhere warm for like a couple days. I was like, oh, the Bruins are there in early January. Like, let's look at tickets. And they're exorbitantly priced. I mean, it's insane on the SeatGeek and Ticketmaster. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you know, because you would think Arizona, Bruins, Coyotes would be cheap. But because it's like a 5,000 seat arena, it's really expensive. So I put them in that clown category too. They're good on the ice, but I'll put them in the same clown category.
Yeah.
But this stretch, these 4 games, I know Colorado already happened by the time people are listening. Poke the Bear will cover Colorado much more in depth than this. But what are you looking for out of this trip? What do the Bruins have to gain other than getting 4 wins?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you got a couple of tough matchups. I think the biggest thing to look forward to is just how the defense can kind of hold up against some of these really high-powered offenses, right? You look at like what Colorado can do. Arizona's been a team that I think is kind of designed to give the Bruins trouble in terms of how fast they are. Like there's the reason why they've been really successful. They attack, they hound the puck, really aggressive on the forecheck. And then Vegas is kind of know what Bruce Cassidy's going to throw at them, but they also have enough really high-powered guys that can make life difficult for you in a hurry. So, again, would you like to keep seeing the Bruins score 4+ goals? Yeah, of course. Like, I don't know how much more you can keep that train rolling. I think it's more just having, these guys like Geeky and Frederick and DeBrusk and Potter even feeling confident, continuing to stack together really good performances. But I think the biggest thing is just how that defense holds. Because, again, you'll take the offense. It's friggin' fantastic. One, it's not what you viewed as kind of the main strength of your team going into it. And it's kind of destined to dry up, especially once you get to the playoffs, when the games get that much tighter. So having the defense really kind of sort itself out and at least show more signs of being, I think, the grouping that we expected them to be this year. It's going to be the biggest thing I'm going to be looking for during this road trip.
Bingo. That's the biggest thing. Defense. Structurally, you got to be more sound. Can you shut down a team like Colorado? Can you shut down a team like Vegas? You should have no problem shutting down a team like St. Louis. And same with, Arizona to an extent. So to me, I agree with you on that. I think the goaltending, getting back on track. I know that they've been fine, but can you get back to that level of somewhere near where you were at the beginning of the year? On the road, in these away environments, I wouldn't mind seeing that. It's kind of all around. The offense the offense was a problem for a while. The goaltending was outstanding. And then as of late, the defense has those, cracks in the defense have sort of shown themselves more. The offense has been outstanding. So it's like, can you find a balance? Now, I know it's January, so you'd like that balance to come in April and May. But I do think that over this stretch coming up, defense is the number one thing structurally. But anyways, Connor, that's been this edition of Bruins Beat. What can the people look forward to from you over at Boston Globe and Boston.com?
Yeah, we'll have you covered every step of the way this season, whether it's game recaps, features, columns, breakdowns, all that good stuff you can find over at Boston.com. So you can read all my stuff there. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Conor Ryan _93.
Go do all that. That's Conor Ryan. I'm Evan Marinofsky. You Bruins Beat listeners, have a great rest of your week.